Gainsight's product experience solution helps you understand how your customers are or aren't using your product, and proactively guide them to value with personalized engagements. Gainsight tracks every login, page visit, and click that a user can take in your product, enabling you to pinpoint where users are dropping off and identify the sticky features that drive retention, making it easier for your product team to build products your customers love. To learn more, please schedule your personalized demo today.
Welcome back to the Product-Led Festival. But before we get going with the next helping of inspiring content, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping us bring this event to your screens. And don't forget, you can access even more content from exclusive articles and interviews to all past and future events on demand, as well as templates and frameworks by becoming a PLA member. Head over to theproductledalliance.com for more info. Enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Product-Led Festival. Thank you for tuning in to this session. I'm really pleased to announce our next speaker is Mickey Allen, founder and CTO at Gainsight. Welcome, Mickey. Hand it over
Hi,
to
everyone. Sorry, let me just quickly start. Hopefully, everybody can see my screen.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm excited about this session. This topic is near and dear to my heart. We're going to speak about the core principles of building a successful product strategy, and what that entails to your company as well. So a quick introduction. My name is Mickey Allen. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Gainsight PX, also co-author of Mastering Product Experience, Build Product-Led Growth Strategy. We're going to share the link for a free download of that ebook. So in today's agenda, we're going to cover a couple of topics. First, defining what is a product strategy versus product delivery. Also, we're going to cover a framework with 5 steps to building a growth-driven product strategy. And then also have a discussion around creating cross-functional operating model to drive that product strategy as well. And we're going to have a couple of minutes to a Q&A by the end of this session. But during this presentation, please feel free to send questions to the chat, and we'll try to address them interactively. Before we begin, we have an exciting event in November, Pulse for Product. We're going to share the link as well. Exciting speakers, Ken Rudin from Google, and other speakers going to speak about their lesson learned from product strategy. So let's get back to it. Let's just define what is a product strategy and how can you align the company objective to your product delivery. So a product strategy, if you look at it, it's actually a connecting tissue between your company objectives and mission, and then to your product execution at the bottom. If you think about your company objectives, your company has a mission, and then there's go-to-market objectives and measurements. Eventually, a company objectives is translated to a measurable business outcome driven by the overall mission. When you think about the product execution, is delivering a set of functionality to deliver user outcome and to be a very competitive product. In between, the connecting tissue is really the product strategy. How the product will enable the company to achieve its objective. So that is what we're going to discuss today, and a couple of elements in product strategy that can help you build a successful growth-driven strategy. So a good product strategy entails how the product will deliver the customer outcomes at scale to enable the company to achieve its objective and shareholder value. So let's talk about product experience trends before we go to the framework, because eventually we believe it's all about the product, and we're seeing these trends in the market. First, user behavior is changing also in the B2B and obviously in the SaaS space. The B2B buyer prefer to try before they buy. They want to self-educate through usage. They want to see the product. They want to understand how it delivers what it's supposed to deliver, and to make sure that it fits their use cases. There's a lot of bottom-up versus top-down approach. The end user influences and sometimes takes the decision. So there's a convergence between the chooser and the user. And especially if you think about recurring business, the user has to be happy to drive outcome and ROI in order for you to be able to renew. Ease of use and time to value is becoming more and more critical and part of a major part in a decision of the end user and buyer. Pricing strategy is changing towards a more consumption-based. When you think about your product usage data and the value it delivers, the pricing strategy is getting more and more aligned towards consumption. And then product experience overall is associated with the brand experience. So when you think about the product delivery and strategy, you always need to keep the brand experience in mind as well. 3 strategy trends published by TSIA. 1, product road mapping is shifting from feature focus to more outcome-driven solutions and supported by consumer-like product experiences. So it's no longer the feature factory meeting the deadlines. It's really looking at the customer and user outcome and making sure you have you allocate some resources and time to make sure that your users are able to achieve their outcome. Customer engagement models are requiring continuous proactive engagement. We're going to speak about how can you engage and message your users proactively as opposed to reactively. And as we said, pricing and packaging is moving towards more consumption. So when you do build a product strategy, you want to align the pricing and packaging to what you deliver and to create a motion that will allow your customers to try and then buy what they need and then expand with additional features. So land and expand is also something that is becoming very critical to your product strategy. How are you going to build those features to tie to that product pricing and packaging strategy as well? So the emerging growth-driven strategy is about a product strategy that delivers the product experience that drives business metrics and business outcome. So let's try to tie between the product strategy and the business outcome. So the framework was about 5 steps for building a growth-driven product strategy. I'm going to start with step number 1, starting from telemetry. We are trying to tie product investments to growth. Couple of key growth business metrics every company, public or private, is trying to optimize. Number 1, customer acquisition cost. As more and more startups are out there, you're competing for the end user and consumers. So customer acquisition cost is getting higher and higher. Your product can help you reduce that cost and just accelerate time to value to these customers. So customer acquisition cost is just all the spend of a company in regards to sales and marketing costs involved into acquiring new customers within a certain time frame. Then GRR, the growth revenue retention, is another very important metric because we are in a subscription model. You have to renew every year. So we are calculating the percentage of recurring revenue retained from existing customers, but that excludes the expansion revenue. So the ratio and the rate that I'm able to retain customers, so keeping them in once I got them and avoiding the leaky bucket scenario. So a bad GRR indicates a leaky bucket, and you need to really iterate and understand your go-to-market and product strategy. But the healthy GRR is not enough. You need to think about also the net revenue retention. Once you acquire a customer, you retain them. The third step is to be able to expand. So net revenue retention allowing you to measure how well are you selling to those installed base. So if it's a land and expand, are you expanding? Do users increase their usage and then revenue? And do you offer them maybe a multi-product as well? So looking at these 3 business metrics and aligning what your customers, what your company is optimizing for, and making sure your product strategy ties to that. Net revenue retention just ties to the valuation of your company. You can see a public company with fantastic net revenue retention. The new net revenue retention goal is 120% to 130%. It's very, very efficient and high, and really tied to the way you deliver the product. Step number 2, product usage data. How can I better understand and make sure that my team is ready and prepared for building the right product that end users like to use? Starting from instrumentation, it's critical to be able to collect product usage data at scale. That's the number one task. You want to make sure that everything you're building is becoming measurable, so you can further optimize. So part of your strategy is to make sure that you have those data and insights to drive your decisions. So tracking user and account data, feature usage, enriching that data with revenue and customer lifecycle to better understand what is working, what's not in your product, and then integrate with cross-functional tools. So that step is really important, so you can really tie those bookings and revenue to your product investments. Things to watch for in more modern technologies like Gainsight is helping you do that with codeless instrumentation and with automatic mapping areas of your product to just make it easier for you to get that visibility. Because collecting user data is a challenging task. Second is generating meaningful insights to drive your product decisioning. So you want to make sure that you're tracking those key features that drives most value per the metric you're trying to optimize. If I'm trying to optimize customer acquisition cost, I'm going to look at the trial experience. I'm going to look at the first 30 days and the set of early value features that I expect user to use. And I'm going to measure any friction point and make sure that I'm able to identify those with funnels and path, making sure that I can iterate and fix that and just deliver that optimized experience. On NRR or GRR optimization goal, I would look at the full end-to-end product adoption. I will apply those same tactics of measuring those features I delivered and identify further down the adoption path those friction points and making sure that I'm able to continuously learn and fix and deliver a better product. Step number 3 is choose your tech stack. Eventually, you want to drive end-to-end value realization and you want to break the silos. So it's important to have those in place. So a couple of things to think about as soon as you're delivering the strategies. What's going to be your product road mapping tool? There's a road mapping is about communication. In many cases, we're seeing product plan or Monday.com or product board. Critical to think about is how can you plan and communicate and create those roadmaps relevant to your strategy. So there's 3 levels of product road mapping. One is for external stakeholders, which is your customers. One is the internal one, normally your engineering. They need to understand the timeline and expected outcome. And the third one is stakeholder alignment. That might be your executive in the company. Usually that roadmap ties to that company goals into your strategy, and the roadmap will entail the set of deliverables and timeline to deliver. So when you choose that stack, product roadmap is critical. And then there's a execution and delivery. Very often, which is just a task management that allows you to monitor and track the execution and delivery, like Jira and other tools. User engagement, like Gainsight PX, is a tool that allows you to increase the awareness of critical features. It can be your released features. It might be the onboarding features you want to promote. It might be those sticky features that make users come back. So being able to measure and track and then message users and enable them inside the product is also a key part of your tech stack, as well as a community and feedback that you want to make sure that you're allowing customers to communicate, help themselves, self-serve, and also have a channel for you to get the user feedback, as well as prototyping tool. There are a lot of interesting tools to make sure that when you're driving a decision, you might be able to experiment before actually writing a single line of code. You might share those prototyping and research and basically UX with your customers before even launching that new feature. Step number 4 is in-product messaging. You want to drive end-to-end value realization. And as we said before, you want to make sure that as a user, when I first log into your product, whether it's a trial or POC or just onboarding, I want to make sure that I can self-learn on the basic functionality. And one of the tactics you can use is actually in-product guides and walkthroughs and creating those checklists of guides that allows the user to self-serve and taking user through everything they need to do in order to experience value through the product. And you can see some examples from Google showing you those enhancements they released, making sure that you're aware of them. So think about your set of features tied to your product vision and tied to customer outcomes. Sometimes, in many cases, we saw that users might not be aware of critical set of features you have, and sometimes that can be even 40% of your features not getting leveraged and utilized by users. And the fact is actually is enablement. They just don't know it exists, and you want to create those in-the-moment messaging to make sure that they're aware of that and educate your users as they adopt your product. So to get a successful product strategy and then execution, you want that ability to make sure that you're able to drive users through value. User research is another element that it's important to cover as well. You have a lot of usage data that is coming in. You want to make sure that you're able to research and ask users about the experience. You can share your strategy and roadmap and ask user for prioritization and learn about what would they need to use next as well. So using in the product channel and user messaging, and you can use the user behavior to basically inform you with regards to your decisions and optimize the outcome for the end user. So a successful product strategy turns into a successful product execution and roadmap, but you need to continuously learn and optimize over time. So the product strategy and vision tends to change, let's say, every 1 or 2 years, exactly like a go-to-market strategy. You don't change very often, but the product delivery needs to have another view and needs to be able to optimize. And I'm going to touch on that specific step as well when we discuss the processes. So step number 5 is processes and alignment, so you can really turn those insights into action. We know the build, measure, learn methodology of the lean startup, but what we want to show you here is you want to make sure that you build, measure, learn, and iterate. You want to create a dedicated process to turn those insights into tangible results. So if you look at the right side, it's actually a slide from the book. In order to really retain and expand customers, you want to make sure that you have a bucket of resources, engineering-wise as well, that are focused on growth. And growth means product engagement. It means that users are actually using the right set of features. You've built features successfully. It might be a great feature that you've built 6 months ago, but now with more users coming in or more advanced use cases, the feature no longer deliver the value they were planned to deliver. So you want to have a faster cycle, very much data-driven. It looks on those core features that and unblocks users moving from step A to step B. And that can be just small enhancement, messaging. It can be enrichment of those set of features. It's not about new features. It's not about this roadmap that takes maybe cycles of 4 to 6 weeks. It's actually a very quick cycle to identify those friction points and say, hey, I can actually improve that experience. I might create another link to the same feature. I might create some additional settings. I might create some defaults and templates to just streamline the usage. And that type of bucket can really delight customers because you are able to close the loop fast and just unblock users from where they are right now and move them to the next level. It starts from trial experience, but definitely very, very relevant to your core adoption flow. Because imagine your customers getting stuck or not happy about a set of features you've built a year ago or 6 months ago, but these are core features. And now they need to wait for 3-month cycles or 6 weeks or whatever the cycle is to get that enhancements because you're working on that differentiated new features and you just don't have enough resources focusing on this elementary features that help customers grow. So features can be fantastic when you launch them, but over time they get outdated and you have to have that investment and enhancement cycles. Product-led growth obviously is becoming a very widely used strategy. And then it's basically using your product and putting the product at the forefront of the customer journey. So as you can see here, it creates a change in approach and you want to create this cross-functional alignment between marketing, product team, sales, and customer success. As part of your strategy, you want to create this operating model when you can align on key metrics that drive customer value and tie that to your product roadmap and strategy. So how can you help marketing with customer acquisition? Your product can actually focus on trial experience and invest in features designated for trial experience. You might want to build in sandbox environment, auto provisioning, invite user features. Those are key features that your product strategy can deliver against that marketing goal. As well as we look at the GRR and NRR, these are a lagging indicator to a successful product strategy. And in this case, you want to align and team up with the sales team and customer success to make sure that you're able to deliver the desired outcome. In this view, you want to make sure that you have the processes in place to have the time to get that feedback, learn from the user experience, learn about the customer outcome and ROI, to make sure that when you're deciding about your product strategy and roadmap, you can tie that back to that feedback you just heard to make sure that those customers are renewing, and then happy customer become loyal customer, and it's a customer that will actually increase their usage and spend with you. So we're gonna finish up with a growth operating model before we move to Q&A. So if you think about the product-led strategy, product-led approach that is coming up and should be incorporated in your overall product strategy, you have the marketing-led, the product-led marketing team that their goal is to drive sign-up, product qualified leads, and generating pipeline. Their activity is starting from aligning on pricing and packaging. A good product strategy will have the pricing and packaging in mind, because you have to make sure that this is super aligned and allows your company to achieve its goals. So misalignment in pricing and packaging with a product strategy, it just create something that can really block your company. Other messaging and product launch is critical for your success. So aligning with your marketing activities and your product launch is critical. The metrics that they will follow normally is product qualified leads, just adding that in product usage to the MQL or SQL model that you have today. We just increase the buying intent. In MQL, normally we're learning about the buying intent by what they do on my website, the things they download, the interest they so the signals are there, but you want to add those trial and in-product signals to say, hey, this customer is ready for a conversation. Maybe it's an upsell or cross-sell, or maybe it's a trial experience. Moving to sales, product-led sales mean their goal is building a repeatable land and expand motion. So they need to understand what the customer is trying to achieve, what's their objective, and how is the usage looking. So you want to democratize the data from your product to make sure that the sales are able to see what's going on, so they can increase the metrics they're basically measured on, which is the win rate, bookings and revenue, and obviously ARR and NRR. And product-led success, the goal is really to establish a strategic partnership with your end customers, so you'll be able to drive business results. So 1 second, sorry about that. So teaming up your product with a success team is being able to build those journeys, adoption journeys that your product needs to deliver. So we think about product strategy is saying, hey, I'm trying to drive those business metrics. I'm building these outcomes for my customers. The journey to get there is that, and your customer success are the best folks to just tell you what is the journey right now, what is the customer is trying to achieve. And as the customer expectation change, customer success are the one that are going to enable those customers and give you that right feedback. And then they'll be monitoring the customer health, and teaming up with them is going to be key for your recurring revenue success and ability to expand. And the product-led growth team is that team you just discussed in your strategy. Make sure that you have that bucket to deliver product experience that deliver business outcome. It's not about a new feature. It's not about the differentiated features. It's actually the way you deliver your product, the way you message users, the way you can iterate on the data and saying, hey, I'm seeing a friction point. It might be my enterprise account are not using that set of key features that drives that ROI for them. What can I do to improve that? So I can message them, I can enable them, and I can improve the feature usability to make sure that I'm unblocking them, so that that cycle and making sure it's part of your strategy to have these cycles, to have these processes and metrics in place, will end up in a delighted set of customers that are basically seeing that you're responsive to their request, to their demand, and you're able to iterate and close the loop faster than your competition. So key metric for that team would be time to value, trial conversion, product engagement. Those are not a competitive differentiation goals. Those are not roadmap, long-term roadmap goals. These are actually the day-to-day experience of your end customers. So with that, we're going to move to the Q&A section. Happy to take any question if you have.
Thanks, Vicky. That was great. Yeah, we'll move on to a Q&A session now. So pop any of your questions in the chat. We've got one here from Andre, who has asked, taking into account the importance of being customer-centric, how would you manage a product that would create great value to the customer but might go against the specific business strategy?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
No worries. So we've got, taking into account the importance of being customer-centric, how would you manage a product that would create great value to the customer but might go against a specific business strategy?
Misalignment with business strategy is going to be a problematic, obviously. So you obviously want to put the customer at the center of what you do, because eventually they're going to be influencing maybe you have a gap between the chooser and end user, but misalignment will definitely need to have a discussion with your business strategy, because again, if the end user is not happy about the solution, they're not going to renew. So if you come up with a strategy saying, hey, here's what we're seeing, here's what the customer feedback is, it will help you influence those executives to say, hey, there's a misalignment with the market, maybe the product market fit question as well. But these are discussions that you need to have. And best advice is just to bring market data, bring that user feedback in saying, hey, this is the objective they're trying to solve. Here's what they're willing to pay for it. And the business strategy right now is not aligned. So that's going to be a very critical decision to influence.
Great, thank you. We've got another question here from Stephen, who's asked, how would you apply this product strategy model to an existing marketplace product?
How would you apply this product strategy model to existing marketplace products? So usually it might be just like a more competitive landscape. In many cases, the way you deliver product today, the product experience itself is becoming a differentiated way to basically win versus your competition. Within an existing marketplace, if it's the same company, for example, we're seeing more and more companies making the product strategy as a multi-product strategy. So it means that they're able to deliver the first simpler product, and then they put those gateways in order for you to unlock when you need to use those extra modules and features that you're also willing to pay for them. And the key in the strategy is to say, what is the point in time that I want to unlock that next feature or next product to deliver you? So, and sometimes, as if you think about Zoom, their free trial, for example, is up to 40 minutes. They just measure the fact that after 40 minutes, it's good enough to start with, but after a while, it becomes annoying, and then you're actually willing to pay for it. In B2B, it's the same thing. You're able to gain the first value. You're happy with the solution, but then you think about other elements, security, high availability, or maybe just workflows. So those features are the one you can actually unlock as you grow the product.
Cool, thank you. I think we've got time for one more question. Got one from Lizanne here, who has asked, how would you approach a strategy for a non-subscription based product in a company that is new to being product-led?
So how do you approach it? So I think one thing you can see in the book as well is the cross-functional alignment and making sure that you're understanding what it means to be product-led. And product-led growth, by the way, is about user engagement. It's not about specifically freemium or trial or even renewal. Product-led growth means that you're going to increase user engagement to use your product. Ideally, that will lead to them buying more of your product and increasing advocacy in the market. But one of the elements is to make sure that you're mapping the customer journey, and making sure that you're able to unlock and increase the user engagement with your product, is that what delivers value at the end of the day. And that's the core about product-led growth. That's the core of the strategy, and actually covered in the book.
Great. Yeah, we shared some links earlier in the chat, which you can scroll back to follow. And I think that brings us to time. We've got a few more questions come in, but I've popped Mickey's LinkedIn in the chat, so feel free to connect with him, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind if you fired a few questions over via LinkedIn. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you very much, Mickey, for a great session. Clearly, the attendees enjoyed it with all their questions at the end. And thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Thank you very much, and have a good day or evening wherever you are.
You too. Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye.